go for this again. But something much better. But I'm gonna start first with the kind of the magical, somewhat kind of hacky hack. Not like a hack, not but like a kind of not. I don't really hear people talk about going about it this way because I don't know why, but this is actually one of the things that I've regularly done whenever I've been wanting to get like actually like rose petals, um, whatever plant like orchids, hydrangeas, hyacinth, pretty much every plant that you can think of. That I use this kind of the same procedure, and then as soon as I'm finished kind of demonstrating and doing all that lovely stuff, we will then talk about the Queen Hera. So first and foremost, usually when you go out and you pick up an herb or a plant, hold on, I'm gonna share this thing real quick, so that way if there's anybody, come on, dude, there you go. There, bloody, come on. Okay, come on, a little faster, honey. You're loading as fast as you know. Well, I, press buttons repeatedly. And 50,000 years later, this thing will be finished. But anyway, so this way that I go about kind of intentionalizing a plant and then letting the plant sit in the intention to actually absorb that attention up into its root system and actually become imbued in the plant itself. I don't see people actually teaching it this way, which kind of concerns me because it just has so much potential that you can do with it. So what I have is, obviously not a thing of not a mocha frap in the mouth. I have half a dozen sick. Well, duh. Of course it's 6. That's half a dozen, doofus. I have 6. I guess you would probably say this is like a very rosy pink color. 6 of those, and then 6 milkshake unhanded. Thank you. And 6 regular white ones. And as well, don't fall, 6 of the same color of these things, which I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to incorporate them anyway. So essentially, the idea is when you have a vase like this, it has water in it, pretty much what you would do is figure out, okay, what am I going to imbue these plants with? What intention am I trying to have become infused in these? And funny enough, if you actually do it this way and let it sink in, pull the intention through, whenever you use these flowers or parts of the flower at all, technically you don't really have to give them another intention. You don't have to like tell them what to do because they're already, at least, because they're already imbued with it and you already have that connection already. So it kind of saves time and it's a bit more personal. And you can actually add some more things, which I'll get into in a second. But, so say you have, and depending on what color too, if you have white ones, like a white flower, usually flowers that are white are usually the ones that are, you can kind of assume them to be the most simple to work with, and when in doubt, just use white usually, because whatever you need to have done, white can do it. But if If anything that is colored like any flower or stone for that matter, if it's white or clear, if you don't tell it what to do by default, it only is only gonna just like empower and just uplift and boost everything else. That's what it does when you don't tell it to do anything. It's like, oh, I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna make everything, get overblown some more. And I'm just adding what's this thing called? Flower food thing? Weenie? Yeah, I'm just putting this in here right quick. But not all white flowers they all really don't have like the same, I don't want to say intention, but pretty much they don't all share like the same quality. For example, like a white jasmine compared to a white rose, that's kind of different. Same thing with like a violet and the and a and a black velvet rose. Although they're the same color, their energy is not the same. Because a violet is more mysterious and a little bit more on the more seduceful side, where a black velvet, it's a little bit more of leaving somebody in the dark in a romantic way. If that makes sense. Yep, I'm getting there. How about you, Brenna? How are you doing? White tulips and orange roses. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So anyway, first and foremost, we have our vessel. Well, or whatever you're wanting to term this thing. Well, now with the water. Well, good. Well, technically this isn't, well, like a free, witchy, planty, magical, whatever, lecture thing, but still. Usually, in my experience, with water, it kind of usually doesn't really matter what kind of water you use. But in here is, I try to keep it only spring and natural, not reverse osmosis. They're not man touched, but that sounds weird. So essentially, you have the water in here, and water is an element that pretty much whatever you put into it, water is the only element that goes pulls. It just takes whatever you throw at it. So usually, the way that I like to charge the water first is either just think about the intention that I want to have be done, and actually speak it into it like this. I'm not even kidding. Like, actually put your face in there and tell the water what you want it to do. Or you can just do it the more quiet way if you don't have that, leisure. Yep, water is just like whatever you throw at me, I'm just going to take it, no matter what it is. Both good and bad. So, but that was the first way by just going, you're going to do whatever you want to do. And then the other way. The way I prefer to do it, and it's quiet. Add the intention in the head, big deep breath, keeping that intention in there, and then just simply and even though air and water conflict, the air actually hits the water and then the water takes it, takes the intention and becomes imbued with it. You can do it as many times as you deem fit, but I'm not going to be blowing this all night long. That sounds so bad. So now that we have the water, I'm now going to actually then add our next little bit into this, which this is probably the reason why every time that I have plants of any kind for that matter, every single time, no matter what happens, every plant that I get that sits in water with crystals, and I'm using 3 different kinds. Every single time, whenever these little crystals and stones are in there, every time, all the flowers just go and explode, and they're like vibrant. Like, okay, it is what it is. And people are like, what the heck do you do? Put them in water and just do this? But I'm putting in a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 clear quartz, and that number is significant. And you kind of also don't need to give them intention because they're going to be in the water. And like what I said earlier, clear quartz or anything that's white like this, if you don't, yep. Whenever you put clear quartz with anything, or if you're putting it within something that already has an intention in it, it's just gonna automatically just boost it up or add to it. So clear quartz, not gonna pretty much tell it to do anything. So by default, it's just gonna empower whatever it touches. So. Okay, now the next two I'm gonna grab are these. Oh yeah. Next two I'm gonna put in here are, well, I'm gonna hope to God they'll come out of there. Again, that's fair. This way is gonna be easier, and I don't have to, fall down and get them. Okay, so the next two I'm gonna plop in are, and I'm dead serious. Two little. That looked so weird, but like two of these little rose quartz. But my hand wouldn't be all like, oh, look at that. It's gonna be overly pink, but still. Yeah, simple. Funny enough, I got these from Hobby Lobby, mind you, and they are quartz. So essentially, rose quartz. Well, of course, if you're new here, rose quartz is essentially the basic love stone. That's not saying to be mean. It's just that it's like, okay, yeah, everybody knows that one. But since again, it's going to be in an intention where it's familiar with, I don't need to give them an intention, and they're just going to absorb it into themselves. So, and I'm putting only two. And the reason why for 6 for the clear quartz is because 6 is the number of like the Divine Mother, and it's the only number that all the other numbers get along with. There's no conflict with her. And 2, rose quartz, because 2 is the actual number of, bloody heck, I just had it now, it's just ran out of my head. It's the number of unity and compromise and coming together in agreement. Also, hanky and panky, 1, 2, one another. And then the last bit I'm going to add in here, and it's all pretty much all the little ones. Yeah, all that. Not all of it, but a good majority of it. Those are kunzite shards. And if you know your stones, kunzite, if my hand will be prepared to catch whatever decides to go jumping out of this little thing. Come on, unhit. No milkshake. You're gonna have to. There you go. Okay, a little bit more than that, honey. Come on. I don't want to be like the IRS and garnish it out of you. Come on, dude. Sheesh, I'm not like trying to get taxes from you. Come on, dude. Thank you. Okay. And I'm gonna just plot that one out of there along with that one. Almost. Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure I got the right ones that I was trying to grab. So essentially, come on. Get out of in between my fingers. Milkshake. Out. No. Thank you. So, don't go back in there when I just pulled you out. So bad. Anyway, so kunzite is probably known to be the most potent love stone on Earth, because it's known to be so high vibrationally charged naturally that pretty much it's pretty difficult to contend with this. And essentially, since it's pretty sharded and it's pretty small like that, and it's not a quartz, so I'm actually just going to give it an intention by just simply breathing on it. Or, you could also do it the other way around by having it in your not in your recessive hand, because that's what this one's in. But in your dominant hand, you would just close it like this, and then just say your intention, and then just squeeze it like that. Cupid is a little bit of a cheeky, flirty, and kind of wild and playful kind of a love energy. This is something kind of, I would like to say, think of trying to think of an example where there was like a love between one and another, and it was mutual and has always been supportive, and it's just like flawless. That's kind of like what Kunzite's like. So since I can't pretty much just juggle this, so I'm just gonna just blow on them with an intention. And then when they sit in here along with the other quartz that are already having the intention of the water, that's gonna just pretty much merge together. As long as the intentions go and they flow with one another and they don't conflict, like for example, say you have an intention to have someone be a little bit more nice and sweet towards you, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, I want them to be sweet to me, but also submissive. Yeah, everything in there is gonna be like, wait a minute, what? You want us to do what? You want them to be sweet, but then be intimidated by you? How's what? That's why usually when you're kind of mixing many elements together, you gotta make sure it kind of all flows together. Kind of like think of it kind of like an orchestrated symphony, except witchy. A witch. Oh my gosh. I really don't like it when my mind comes up with this stuff because it's just like, wow, that is so clever but so stupid. Think of it like a witch symphony. You gotta make sure all your stuff plays their instruments right. God, that was just a weird way of putting it. Anyway, so now we have the water in there, and then we have the stones in there. Is there anything else I'm gonna plop in there? No, I don't think there's anything else. No, another part that I kind of don't like doing. Kind of being an animalist. So essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these that are not the roses, put them on the outside, and then put the roses in the middle. And this is kind of just like just for like a personal preference way of doing this. So what I'm going to do is just kind of measure to see how. Okay, that is a bit too tall, so we'll go not that high. Okay. Fine. Okay, that should no. Okay, that's gonna bug me. The only struggle with having like kind of like wanting to make things perfect, the OCD tendencies. The only disadvantages is that if it's not perfect by your own standards, it's like nope, it has to be how I want it. So I'm not going to cut all of that off because that's not really the best idea. I'm going to leave that there. This one right down in the middle, yeah, that'll work. Just want to make sure I have enough room so that they all can fit. One there. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, no, that thing is probably double the height of that, so I'm gonna cut that down. So anyway, while I'm, snipping and cutting these things away, I guess I'll now talk about Hera. Queen Hera, yes. So, Hera. Hera is probably one of the most misunderstood divines and goddesses known to man. And I'm saying that completely seriously. Because usually, most of the time, when people hear about Hera, they think, oh, she's just jealous. Okay. So then you tell me this then. If you are married to somebody And if you get into a hissy fit because, you know, they went behind your back with someone else, and if you throw a hissy fit, okay, I'll just tell you, oh, stop being jealous. I mean, it's the same thing, dude. Don't be thinking that you can not be all judgmental when, you know, it happens to you. No, that is a no-no. Don't be saying, well, she's just jealous because Zeus went off with some other people. Well, he did that with everyone, so no, he's not just jealous. Okay, that one's a little too derpy, so I gotta cut that one off. So, Hera, funny enough, is actually older than Zeus, and is also a sibling, of course, with Zeus, Hades, and I just drew a blank. What was his name? Oh, Poseidon. I was about to say the fishy one, but no. I kind of don't like Poseidon that much anyway. But that's not important still. So essentially, Hera is known as, besides, you know, like, yeah, okay, fine, yeah, we know, she's vengeful. Well, she has good reasons to be, by the way, and was also the one responsible for. Okay, I'm sure nobody said anything. I wasn't ignoring them. But essentially, she was also known to be the one that also kind of threw obstacles in opposition to Hercules or Hercules. And yes, if you want to actually be more about the Roman side of it too, Hera is pretty much the same as Juno. In fact, it's essentially the same one. It's just Romans just changed the names of some of them. And Hera is primarily a divine that's all about primarily the aspect of unionship, commitment, devotion, and pretty much women's support and care and ensuring that, you know, the well-being of them and the family is taken care of. But also, in a way, it's similar with Hestia, except Hestia is a bit more strict about having the family values and the family taken care of in the home be pretty much a priority first. Hera prioritizes like the unionship and marriage quality. She still has that kind of dominion over the home, women's treatment, and women's care. But her biggest stickler is like, well, if you're going to be committing to your obligation, you are going to do it. And if you don't want to do it no more, well, that's a shame. I didn't ask you. You made the choice here to keep it up. Should have thought about that before you said you would. Because Hera has been mentioned in so many of the myths. From I believe she was mentioned in what was it? Jason and the Fleece, I believe, if I'm remembering that correctly. She was mentioned in that. And she also, there's one myth that I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, like the one about when she was not having it with Zeus anymore, and she was plotting vengeance on him by having Hypnos come in and mess with him. Yeah, there was that one, and then she got hung upside down by two Anvils because Zeus was like, "You're my queen, you're not supposed to do that." And then that's when she vowed she would never do something to him again, so he kind of took advantage of that, which is kind of disgusting, but that's none of my business. Okay, all this stuff is roses. So, but pretty much how it all kind of began between those two is that just like how the other ones go, when Zeus was like, oh, I must have her. Oh, now, no boy, get away from me. And then he pulled the kind of the uncalled for BS move, like, well, I'll make you my wife. What do you say? I'm not sure, but he tricked her into having the moment happen. And from that, yep, she decided, well, I have to devote and commit because that's what she was primarily all about. So being left with no choice, she pretty much she was the one that pretty much decided, you know what, okay, fine, I will, and I'm gonna stick to it, and I'm gonna pretty much lead by example, and no matter what, still uphold my obligation to Zeus. And that was what she was pretty much trying her very best to do all the time. Meanwhile, Zeus didn't really honor that. And that's just how it is. It's not that, it's bad. It's just how she was going about it. She was more focused on ensuring the well-being of the pretty much the unionship between her and Zeus, and prioritizing that first over everything else. That if something was to threaten that, her chosen obligation and how she's now committed to upholding, if she had to go and take out someone to uphold that, well, I mean, I don't know about you, but what would you do if you were married to somebody and there's a potential threat about to ruin that commitment and devotion between you and them? I mean, not you and them, but you and that significant other. Wouldn't you want to, kind of table flip on the potential two-timing twat and just kind of make it known that, listen, honey, you ain't gonna do that. Because really, that's kind of it's not only really kind of hindering the bond between you and the other person, it's kind of also slapping you in the face too. And kind of a very low blow and kind of a big slap to the face in a way that's kind of disrespectful and uncalled for. And what makes it worse is that if somebody already knows there's that chosen obligation and commitment by choice already there, and they still just come in and mess with it or damage it, yeah, no, no, that one deserves, to pretty much to have the, the ability to stick it or catch it. Yeah, kind of, you're gonna have to get that removed, because you don't have the decency to respect that. But that's just none of my business. So, usually Hera, of course, are people up there like, well, she's kind of jealous and she's just always going after whoever messes with the marriage between her and Zeus. Well, what's wrong with that? That's kind of like the point of having that chosen commitment and devotion and having that unionship at its purest state. That's the point. If something is trying to mess with your obligation and trying to hinder or pretty much cause any kind of harm to it or influence it in a way that it can damage it, aren't you kind of like expected to do what you have to do between you and the other person, and you chose to take on that obligation? So aren't you kind of obligated to protect it and support it and do everything you can to uphold it? Isn't that like what you're agreeing to when you say, yo? That's why I'm a cat person. And that's why I'm such a cat person. I do not have anything against dogs, but I mean, after a while of hearing constant barking where I'm at, it gets kind of agitating after a while. Anyway, so it's kind of expected to protect and do what has to be done for that unionship. Even if you do kind of have to be a little bit cruel and cold hearted and just kind of just, you know, passive aggressively hit upside the head, being like, well, I don't know what to tell you, dude. You kind of don't do that. If you're gonna be saying that you're gonna, mm-hmm. Exactly, Caleb, and that's why. In fact, I don't know if I've actually, yeah, I'm gonna use that for example of the next thing. But actually working with Hera myself for a period of time, and well, I mean, she's still a part of like my worked with, well, like the kind of like the group of divines that I've still maintained like closeness to, if that makes sense. Yes, it's usually kind of a little bit like uncommon. I would put it not rare because it's like, well, not really rare, but it's not usually all of the time and every day that you actually see a male kind of work alongside and be investing with Hera, because again, usually Hera is there usually primarily for women and their rights and all that stuff and their treatment being taken care of, and you can also better believe this one too. Hold on. You better most definitely believe Hera is definitely not. Oh. She is definitely not one that will not allow at all if there's any kind of domestic violence or domestic abuse, be it children. Hold on. I'm gonna mute this again because I don't want political stuff coming through. Hold on. Okay, so Hera, as I was saying, she is most definitely not a divine that is gonna allow any domestic violence, child abuse, or anything along like that, or disharmony or disorder in the home. She will not, sit and be idle. She will come in and, boy, you can most definitely say that she is not only a queen, but she will also be the one to come in and kind of, let's just say, she'll be coming in and kind of disciplining the one that's hissy fitting and being out of line. Kind of harshly. She, in a way, you can kind of say she's somewhat conservative, if that makes sense. But it's not like having a political agenda, no. It's just that she kind of maintains like the family structure and pushes that in a way that's much better than say like how it's like an all time um, traditional family structure. She doesn't like push like how to be like completely restricted and controlled. No, but she kind of does one. She does have that expectation for being like a family structure and maintaining that as like a very big priority, making sure there's peace and harmony in the home. Because the point of the home is, of course, to feel safe, secure, be a place of nourishment, rest, and security, not a place where people have Mortal Kombat yelling matches at one another. Yeah, if you work alongside her and if you do that, she will just say, "Oh, no." And She will have expectations of pretty much saying, say, like if you live in a home and you don't clean it, she will pretty much let you know that, my, it's so dirty here. Aren't you going to clean up this mess? What kind of home is this? You call this a home? There's cobwebs everywhere. The, the dishes aren't done. How's this a home? This is no. Yeah, she will kind of make you aware that, oh, I haven't done the laundry, I haven't taken care out the trash, I haven't taken care of the home. And that's, again, just like Hestia, that's one of her big points. Like, you need to clean up your mess, dude. It's a mess in the home. But when it comes to like protecting like a marriage and unionship, she is most definitely, you better believe, a viable, if not probably the one of the best ones to ask of to help you when trying to protect a unionship between you and another person. But keep this in mind though. She is strictly like having a monogamous unionship. She will not back up or support a polyamorous kind. Like if there's more than one person involved, nope. No, 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 no. She will not. She will not allow. She does not like that. And it can be, even if it's just something that it's agreeable on pretty much all those involved. She's not going to support it no matter what happens. She won't, because again, she's more focused on the unionship between one and other, not one other and another and another. If you catch the idea. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it. That's not the point. But so anyway, she won't support like there's multiple people involved in a unionship. She won't support it. That's just how it is. And hold Okay, now that I'm back, because pretty much also if there's no sense of okay, sorry. I just really hate it when that happens, because it's like, come on now. Because, yeah, it's pretty much the point where it's like, now anyway. Usually, with Hera, she does not. Also, she doesn't like it when there's any kind of form of child neglect, or pretty much if a child is acting out of line, and there's like no disciplinary things being put into place. She also is kind of a little bit, she kind of keeps that expectation above your head. So if you don't like fulfill your obligation with raising a child, or you're saying, oh, I don't want to like raise my kid or whatever like that. Even though to be technical, she did also kind of even though she did kind of also not really accept Vulcan Hephaestus because he wasn't a pretty much he was born with deformities and she didn't want that as a child. Yep, that was a mistake she made and she did pay the price for it because she got kind of bamboozled into making him make a new throne for her to sit on, and then she got trapped in it and was only released because Zeus begged Hephaestus to, let her be able to stand up again. But still, she's not. She's not really. She's not really fond of like no sense of responsibility, obligations, and commitments and duties not being upheld. And she's as well one who's best, at least in my experience too, very, for best practice, is to kind of always address her as you would, like, if you're actually like speaking to, let's say, like, I would have to say best, like the Queen of England herself, like, or like the really um traditional way, like I when you go towards like the Queen figure, to just be like my Queen or something along those lines. And she would be kind of one of those divinities where you would still want to just keep addressing her that way with that title, even if you've been working alongside her for a long time. I would say, in my lovely opinion, always just keep addressing her with as that. Unless if she tells you otherwise, then go with what she tells you to do. Because that way, you're still kind of reinforcing the idea of her status, that she holds that title. Because it's one thing, it's more of a sign of respect that you're addressing her as like the title that she possesses and acknowledging that, and you're giving the proper respect towards it. If you're just going towards it like Hera, hey Hera, it just comes off like, really, dude? Do you know? Do you happen to know what title I have, dude? And you think you're gonna command me? Huh? Huh? Oh no. So I would probably most definitely suggest keep addressing her the same way, in a royal, respectful way. When it comes to like, actually, my favorite myth, I just remember this off the top of my head. My favorite myth involving Hera has got to be this one. Is a myth probably kind of like hinting at one of the possible ways about how the zodiac sign Cancer got its spot in the sky. Essentially, the myth goes like this. The myth goes, I can't remember which festival it was, but there's a festival devoted and pretty much in honor of Hera herself. I can't remember what it's called, but that specific festival was being held, and of course, Hera was obviously invited to it, and she was delighted, and she decided, okay, I'll attend to it. So she decides to make an appearance and actually walk from, I can't remember which river it was, but walk from the shoreline up into the festival. So pretty much she does this. When it's time for her to go down to this festival on Earth for the humans, she sits right on her throne and then just taps it and goes, like falls towards the earth, and she's just sitting. Completely unaware, down below on Earth, on this shoreline, there's this one little crab. It's minding its business. Completely unaware about what's going to happen in the next few seconds. It just out of nowhere, the throne does this to the crab. Crab's here. Here comes the throne. Squishes it. And all that you can see is just this little claw hanging out from underneath the throne. And Hera's just sitting on it. And she just gets up. And then she looks down and she notices what's happened. The throne just landed right on the crab, and its claws just hanging out underneath from the chair. And she's just mortified that happened by accident. So she takes pity on the poor little thing and pretty much takes its now pancaked corpse and tosses it up to the heavens, up into the sky, and makes pretty much the zodiac sign of Cancer for that reason. That's not, like, of course, probably the best way of it, but it's kind of showing also even though it can be kind of a little bit, even though Cancer is a sign that can be kind of coming off in a way that's a little bit like shelled and kind of reserved, it does show that very deep sense of emotion and that feeling of being liberated and that moksha energy to him for that. Because it's Cancer's a moksha related sign. But I mean, here Hera is ready to go for this festival, and she's like being a prime guest, only to pretty much when she's about to ready to go walk towards the festival and have a good time, she gets pretty sad and depressed that she accidentally squished a poor crab without her knowledge of it happening. And she's just like, oh, I feel so horrible about this, so I'm just gonna pick up this corpse and just throw him to the heavens for some reason. And of course, by any heck, you never know. You never know Zeus these days. As far as we know, maybe, that crab probably went behind their marriage's back or something like that, and, influenced Zeus to, pinch it or something. I don't know. I got nothing on that one. But anyway, taking a moment from that. So, here is the little thing that I made. There's one flower that's not not doing what it's supposed to. There we go. There you go. I was going to be trying to make it be a little bit more like the little ones, these little things be out there more. But, I mean, this is the best I got. I'll probably just take pictures of it later. But anyway, so now that we have this thing, okay, I want to make sure my microphone's still on, because I would be like, wow, all I said, I have to say it again now. But essentially now, with the it's in the water and the stones, as these flowers sit in it, just like how if you did that science experiment when you have when you have white roses or white flowers and then you put in the liquid, like the color dye, and it changes the flower color. Well, essentially, it's that same concept, but instead of it changing the color, they're being imbued with the intention. The white ones are going to pick up on it much easier, if that makes sense. They're going to just take it in. But the rosy pink ones, they're still going to have that unique, more, how am I best going to put this? Kind of that little bit more flirtatious, sweet, probably a little bit, mating season, wink wink, aspect already charged into them. So essentially these are going to sit, and I can't remember what these ones are, but as soon as they bloom, I'll probably be able to know what they are. I think they're lilies. And if they're lilies, well, funny enough, lilies are actually one of Hera's flowers, because lily is actually a flower that's actually meant to safeguard and protect unionships and marriages and promote fidelity. So while these sit, they're going to be pretty much being charged, imbued with all the stuff that's in here. And I mean, if you don't want to actually put anything in the water, but you could also do, but it's not, to me, it's not as potent, but you can also put like a sigil and just put it on there, an intention sigil, and then while it's on here, pretty much everything that's in the vase will be imbued with the intention, including the water, and then it'll just go right into the plant. But I've kind of demonstrated that so many other times with other things to do, but pretty much that's another way if you want to do it that way. And the other little kind of magical, witchy, some kind of blindy hacky hack. Funny enough, this actually doesn't take any kind of magical woozy-wooiness. It's actually quite deceptively simple. And all you need are just simple rose petals. Doesn't matter the color. But if you want to make it a color specific, have at it. So what you would do, take your petals. I got hanky, panky, and spanky right here. And say you want to put a specific intention onto one of them. Like say for an example, we kind of want to have, okay fine, we'll go that way. Fine. Let's say if you want to actually have the intention of having you know, becoming a fanboy obsession magnet thing or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. So essentially, what you would do, you would just take the intention oil, which I'm kind of glad that I realized how much less I have of this. What you would do, if it'll be so kind to unhand itself, it still smells like sweet tarts. I don't know how it's doing them. So essentially, what you would do, depending on how many petals you want to do, you would just simply go like so. But you gotta be careful because it may actually go through the plant. Just simply up, down like that. Stick. Yep, now you're gonna just, if it'd be so kind to, there you go. Just tap it in like that, roll it back out. And now the petal has the intention on there, plus what the rose plant already does and its properties. So it's all imbued in this, and just simply wipe the face with it. All over, it don't matter. Just all over the face. Literally all over the face. But use some practicality and common sense. Don't poke yourself in the eye with this, because that's gonna hurt. But I don't think I have to tell you that. But as you can kind of already see, like how you see the darker spots on it now? Yeah, that is actually the built-up in the oil in the skin. And what the rose is doing, it's pulling it out at the same time, also pushing in the intention onto the skin, and it's absorbing into well, that's going to sound so weird, but go with it. But it's actually going to be coming absorbed into you. You're actually imbuing yourself with that intention, if that makes sense. And I mean, if you really want to be extra, well, you should actually go like this instead. Well, fine, whatever. You can actually also start from the bottom of you can start with your feet, go all the way up that way. Same with the other. Because you only have one beautiful side and not another, that's kind of a little bit counterproductive. But yeah, and I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but if you're able to see how I looked before, I rosy hipped my face. So, this is actually another skincare routine that I used to do back in 2018, and I used to do it like almost daily. Used to get like flowers like a dozen of roses like every day, and every day I like to petal one, and just, well, not one every day, but like pretty much the petaled and just rose hipped my whole being with it. So now as soon as like you're finished with it, yeah, because they like, look at that. Yeah, well, yeah, that kind of pulled out a lot of bit, and also, call me crazy. I'm not. Don't you dare. Does that kind of look like a raven or a bird of some kind? Or even an owl? Oh, is that who I think it is? If that's who I think it is. Oh, she just loves to pop in when she, is like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, that's perfect. You don't mind if I can have those flowers, do you? How'd you know, miss? And that's just if you want to just use an essential oil, well, not essential oil, like a magical oil mix. Or if you want to be like a little bit more flexible, well, of course, flexible, you can actually take do not fall. You can take you can actually take 30,000 years later. That won't really make much sense if I put that on there. That'll work. But of course, you know, you gotta be a little bit practical and not make it too oily a hooey, because that might not be the most ideal. So anyway, okay, fine, that'll work. Oh, give me this bloody thing. So now if you actually want to make the intent, like an intention natural washcloth, that sounds so weird to put it that way, but you get the idea. Here, give me this. I just don't want to make a oily hot mess. So scooch. So what you would do, again, just like before, you take your petals, and I mean, if you want, what? Yep, you're right. Exactly. Guessed correctly. Usually, whenever I start talking like that, I'd be like, "Oh, guess who just dropped in?" Yeah. Because I mean, I'm just someone that's not resistant. Just like, oh, okay, she's here, and I'm just gonna allow her to do what she wants. And if you happen to have a like one with a roller top, that's essentially just the plant in a carrier oil already mixed with it. You don't have to like completely take the top of this thing off and then just don't pour it in there. Instead, use a little bit of work smarter, not harder kind of a thing. So you just take this simple roller, then you almost cartwheeling pedal, like literally. This is magnolia and coconut. So magnolia is pretty much it's a very uplifting, motherly kind of a plant that's also very protective and supportive. So that is going to be merging with this rose petal. Again, rose is essentially the pretty much the everybody knows what rose is. Okay, I don't think I have to explain that. But as well, rose is also a plant that can also adapt to any situation. So it kind of makes sense to put anything alongside of it because it's able to support it. And then I'm just going to put that in there along with this. So rose petals in that thing. And now we're going to add the oil part. And this way you're actually adding multiple plants together. And then after you're done, you then say the intention onto the petals afterwards. Might be up again blowing it. God forbid, we can't be blowing stuff now. So we have rose, coconut, and magnolia. Well, coconut, I would have to say, is probably the plant that's the closest to like the sign of Cancer, which is the Divine Mother sign. So essentially, coconut has the Cancerian qualities. So just like how it's related to the moon, coconut is actually able to pretty much take in, gets thrown at it. But also, coconut is pretty, has quite the shell. So it's going to be pretty hard to influence it. So it'll take an intention and hold on to it and not give it up, if that makes sense. So the first one I'm going to add into this, if this will not slip out of my hands. Well, I'm kind of one of those that likes to make, like if there's a situation I'm trying to influence, I kind of like to have multiple intention oils to choose from and then start merging them together to make one for just the moment. That makes sense. So like say for an example, there was someone I kind of want to woozy woo and be also devoted. That makes sense. So in this case, I would probably use something like a follow me, insert whichever gender is trying to be woozy wooed, along with a blessing and well, well, a marriage one alongside a stay with me, um, um, protection, and well, and also compel. That was the one I was trying to figure out. Like, I don't know if I want to put bend over in that, but like compel, because it's just like you said you stick, so you're gonna stick, and you're woozy wooed, so stick. So mixing all those intentions together and then making one oil out of it, it's able to woo, pull, compel it to stay, and then it'll be like protecting it. So all those intentions will be put into one little kind of the spur of the moment mixture. So all that gets covered at once. Instead of it being just like, okay, one oil, follow, okay, next, then this, then this, and doing separate things at different times. I'm somebody that likes to pretty much just do it all in one, one bang, instead of like one TNT stick. Wait, okay, another one. No, I'm just a simple like, okay, here, 2 grenades, blow it open. Just get this over and done with, not tiptoe. So the first one I'm going to add into here is Yangling. See, there's another question real quick. Yangling, I have to say, is pretty much a very, very flirty, very fun, very, kind of the cupcake romance kind of a flower. Not like how Rose is a little bit more deeper. Yang Lang is kind of like that high school sweetheart, like, oh, cheesy, woozy woo, young love kind of a plant. Also with the beautifying effects. So Yang Lang for the effect of like, okay, wow, it's just like the Hollywood, Bollywood, whatever, bloody, whatever things that those dang kids talk about nowadays. So Yangling is already gonna be with rose and coconut oil and magnolia. So it's gonna have that element of youthful woozy woo, fantasy woo. I don't know, I got nothing. Actually, next I'm gonna plop in geranium. Geranium is a plant that if you don't like the smell, somebody might have some difficulties trusting another person. There's like this element of not wanting to give your full 100%. You want to test someone. Is that lack of having faith? If that makes sense. But if you can't withstand the smell, is actually primarily, at least in my opinion, really good for actually supporting and maintaining that give and take. If you actually do work with gemstones, crystals, essentially geranium is pretty much liquid morganite. And morganite's a stone that's like fair balance between male, female, and there's give and take fairly between two people that are investing in one another. But in this case, geranium also has the aspect of pretty much being able to tell whoever's like working with it. It does have this aspect of pretty much being like that best friend that cares about you so much that they're going to tell you you're stupid and stop being stupid. Or better yet, like how in some chick flicks there's that one character telling her friend like, girl, just dump him already. He doesn't care about you. Just dump him. There's geranium. I'm going to add 2 drops in there. So it's also going to have that element of like, look, be real with yourself, and don't think that anybody else can tell you otherwise. That kind of that self self worth and self truth. And geranium's actually really supportive with other flowering plants too. So now we have coconut oil, magnolia, yanglang, and rose, and geranium in here. Now we're going to add 2 more. Now this one is going to be a wild one. Not literally, but you get the idea. I would add another one, but after there's another one after this one, but if I add any more, it's going to be like a little bit of a too much hot mess. Next one. Okay, this one is probably going to be like, oh, Lord Lanta. Next is, held it upside down. Next is pink pepper. Probably thinking pink pepper. What? What the heck's pink pepper? I'm going to grab my inhaler because for some reason my own breath is being taken away. Anyway, so pink pepper. Think I have to say it because that's just how it is. Essentially, if this thing could say something, this pink pepper, it would say something like this. Did I mention it's mating season? And it's getting pretty close to, summertime. Extra heat. Yeah, that's pretty much pink pepper in a nutshell. But it's also very childish and playful. But also a bit, nippy. I guess you can also say it's quite the love tapper. I'm trying to not sound too vulgar, but still. And with this, I'm probably just going to add 1 drop. Well, I'll add, there we go, I was going to say, well, it's just 1 drop if it'll decide to come out, but yeah, pink pepper is quite the, quite the motivating love tapper, if you catch my drift. So now we have 6, and now we're going to add 1 last one to this abomination. This one is probably my most potent secret ingredient one, and you don't even see the label on it. But this is violet. Violet, what can I say about violet? I love violet. Violet is probably the art of seduction, except a plant form. That's pretty much the best way I can put it. So, since I have a big woozy woo about violet, I'm probably going to add 3 drops. Need a bouquet? Well. Okay, come on, cupcake. This is the only thing I don't like about ones with droppers, because it might take a little bit for them to get going after a while. And I use this one very sparingly. 1, okay. Okay, come on. Before I can be eligible for my pension check. Thank you. Okay, so now we have rose, yanglang, coconut, magnolia, pink pepper, and violet in here. Talk about having a bit of a crazy mix, but now the intention that I'm going to have be putting into this, again, just blow it. God. So, just like how every other time, have the intention in mind, take a deep breath in, and just blow the intention onto there. And because since there is liquid still in there, like you can kind of see it, that intention is going to be absorbed into the liquid, which is going to be then going to go in the flower. And geranium too. So all those aspects are going to be merged together, and then the rose is pretty much going to be pretty much the carrying washcloth apparatus thingy mobbing. You get the idea. So then from there, if you have a lot of petals, you can actually let them sit there for a little bit of time, but don't let them sit in oil for too long because they'll pretty much get all nasty looking. So anyway, now that we have the petals infused with the intention, just kind of just gently tap them like that. Don't be like, because they'll break and you'll have wasted all that time for nothing, and now you're going to hit yourself upside the head for being a little bit too harsh. And then just like how I did before, just complete. Don't poke me in the eye. Come on, dude. And then just all over the face. And make sure you don't, expose your eyes to the kind of still fresh oil. Because if you do that on a bare eye, oh, wow. Well, all I can say is, well, now you can definitely see without your eyes, so hopefully you'll be able to see everything now. But still, make sure you're just careful. Yeah. It's got quite a bit on there, and it's completely just. And I don't know if the camera's picked. Oh my Lord, Lanta. What have I done? Well, I can definitely say this mixture I just made on the fly. I'm not even really intending it to be this good, but okay. My skin feels like it's like, oh wow. Okay, why do I now have a baby's tush for a face? It's that soft. I'm not kidding. Stop. And if you made a lot of these petals infused with it, you can just go from your feet all the way up. And yeah, this is kind of like the facial care routine that I used to do. I see I'm already doing it again. But yeah, this is like the routine that I used to do many moons ago, back when I was actually able to be witchy a lot more. Almost all the time, but I mean, good Lord. It's just so, I don't even know what to call it. It's just so liberating and so calming too. Because yeah, wow. Yeah, it's already, I'm already like taken. Wow, good Lord, Lantern, dude. And I mean, I'm just rubbing just like a part of my leg on with this. Oh my Lord, Lanta is like, huh? Ugh, yeah. Well, who needs Botox when you got rosy petals? And these rosy petals isn't made of plastic, and you don't got to worry about them melting you're melting off your face or wherever you're sticking it with. Dang. Huh. So yeah. Say no to Botox, say yes to infused rose petals, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, flip it the other way. Is yeah, all that. Yeah, that's the nastiness being yoinked out, and the intention being put in instead. Yeah, Yeah, you can definitely see that it pulled quite a bit. And usually what I used to do a lot was as soon as I was finished with all the pedals, I just kept them all together. And I didn't flush them down the toilet. I actually went outside and went to a space where I felt it was right, and then just put them all in my hand and said a thanks, and then just tossed them to the wind. So that way they can go back to the earth and repeat the cycle of life and death is always going round and round. And now that one leg is smooth, and while the other one's like, I'm not smooth. Well, yeah, like, dang. And best of all, that was all natural. And none of that, not having any of those chemicals that pretty much makes your tongue get all tied up trying to pronounce one word. And also, just like, what? I can't pronounce that word. Yeah, because usually that's an indication of that's a chemical. Was there any questions at all? Yep, and kind of depending on like what kind of rose it is, if it's like a cactus rose, for an example, well, you can definitely have the idea with a cactus, like, cactus, huh? Don't want to mess with that. And a cactus rose, you can definitely have the idea of like, okay, so we have a love that is not afraid to stab whatever tries to come and mess with it, as an example. Because, I mean, there's so many specific species of rose. I mean, it's unreal, but it's like each species has like its little tiny bit of a twist that it can do alongside of the already well-known stuff that any other plant can do. And getting back to Hera, let's see. When it comes to working alongside other deities, she does kind of prefer to be around deities that are kind of at the same, how do I put this? She's more inclined to work with, say, for an example, if you work alongside the Norse deities, the Norse divines, she would work well with alongside Freya, for an example, I would think. She would not, probably will not do as good with like someone like Osiris, Nephis, Hell. Probably not the best, but I mean, I've kind of made it known even to Hera, like, Hell is here to stay, and I don't know how else to tell you, but that's just how it's going to be. Because, at least for me, Hera came to me on her own. I didn't ever go for research. She came on her own. So I kind of didn't have to, like, push that on her, but she would prefer to kind of work with ones that are more in an ordered fashion. She also probably, I mean, she would get along very well with Lilith to an extent. Because, like how Lilith is also vengeful, Hera is vengeful. But the part where it might be a little bit clashing is that Lilith is one that does as she pleases, and Hera does have kind of a bit of more of a decency, like, well, you really shouldn't have killed your husband, or anything like that. Why not? I mean, try to, violate me. Isn't that kind of a good enough reason to, make him stop moving? But you did, but it was, a union ship. I don't care. He tried to, try to feed me sausage that I didn't want. So, oh well. He got it snipped instead. But it's still that idea that, like, female empowerment as number one, and that sense of respect towards them. that's kind of like the big agreement that of Hera and Lilith having together. But but also being a queen figure, she does kind of have high expectations and pretty much expects like somebody's best as much as possible. She can understand circumstances happening, but if it's to a point where it's like the dishes are at the ceiling again, I don't know how you call this a home. It kind of looks like, you know, a poorly made kitchen. But when also of any kind of like, actually I don't know if I said this, but I'm gonna say it again. If there's any kind of like domestic violence or like abuse at all, regardless if it's children or like someone and their significant other, Hera will not hesitate to come in and actually go at the party that's abusing and just. And I can definitely say I've actually witnessed something kind of to that effect happen in front of me with my own. And it happened many times. And I'm just saying, well, don't look at me. Well, I mean, I know most definitely I'm not, get by her because I'm still trying to uphold it. When it comes to like a specific day, now this is where it can be a bit debatable. What do you mean by a tiger rose? Like a rose that's multicolored? Does that make sense? Like it has red, and then it has orange, and it has yellow, and then it's green, like a tie-dye rose, I guess? I'm not really sure how else to put it, but working alongside Hera, probably the best days, I would have to say, would be one, Monday. Day of the moon, mother. Hera is the mother goddess because she is the mother of Aries. Yeah, Monday, Hera is actually the mother of Aries, Mars. If you want to go with the Roman equivalent, Hephaestus, or Vulcan, as well as. No, there was one more, but I can't remember exactly. So Monday would be a good example, but also Hera. Now there's more coming to my head. Hera is also, funny enough, a triple goddess aspect. I know, I probably just made a lot of minds just explode right then and there. So I'll say it again. Hera is a. Hera's a triple goddess aspect. Does anybody happen to know how that aspect is actually said? Or anybody want to take a gander? Because she does have a triple aspect side to her. Just like how there's like maiden, mother, crone. How would you say Hera's would go? If you could take a guess. I'm trying to, get people engaged in here. Just give it your best guess if you have no idea. Just make sure it's not. Dark pink and light pink. Well, if it's tigerish like that in that regard, it would probably be like a love that's able to be gentle, but also a little bit on the flirty, nasty side, if that makes sense. Because if it goes from a dark to a light, it kind of shows a flow of both, and it's able to go in between and still be able to flow with itself and maintain itself. So it's like a love that can be long lasting and also go from a time of like being, oh, so sweet, to, okay, that's a little nasty, okay, we're sweet, oh, yeah. it just keeps that flow going. Pretty flow and adaptable, if that makes sense. I don't know how long this delay is, but on this thing, so I guess I'll give like a little bit longer to kind of give an opportunity for people. Guess I'll just give it a little bit for people to. Oh, no, good guess, Kayla. It's actually bride, wife, widow. Bride, wife, widow. Guess here's how it goes: bride, maiden, wife, mother, crone, widow. That's the triple aspect for her. Gosh. Hmm. Bride, because the maiden aspect, the youthful part of the unionship. Bride, that's like, oh, look at that, beautiful and young and being given. Oh, I don't like putting it that way because I kind of was like, okay, you're kind of giving away your family. No, I pretty much how the the maiden is pretty much in the state of its youthfulness in the unionship. That's like the the bride part of it. So there's the youthful side, and then we move over to mother, the wife. Well, usually mother is usually a, not all the time, but most of the time potentially can be like mother. So that's like in the middle of crone and maiden. And then last but not least, the widow in the crone part. Now, here's where you kind of had to think a little bit outside the box. When we think widow, we think of a woman who lost her husband, like to death. Okay. Now, hold on there. Take it back to where we have, the he who keeps sticking at Zeus. Think about the many times that he, had the urge to stick, insert how many, who, and whoever here. Think of like the unionship being pretty much the the, the sacredness to it. Imagine him taking the action on the urge and completely destroying that bond and unionship. Well, Hera feels like a widow because that unionship she had with Zeus, dead. That one-on-one unionship and that closeness, dead. The widow. That closeness and that bond is dead. So she's left with only the. I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it. So she's left with the aftermath of her unionship being destroyed because of either Zeus acting on it or somebody else taking action, which pretty much caused the sacred bond between her and Zeus to become compromised, and it's not as pure as it was. So it's tainted and it's destroyed. So she's widowed to having that pure unionship be destroyed. Is not pure anymore for that reason. Hence the widow part. Or maybe there might be a story that even I don't know that maybe Hera gets help with Lilith because she has heard that there's this very this very vengeful. Oh man, that would be quite hysterical. Just Hera just hiring Lilith to be like, ah, your name's Lilith, is it? What do you want? My husband, he's acting out of line. Oh, you too? Oh, I know for some reason they just love being out of line. What did yours do? Mine tried to, give me sausage when I didn't want it. Oh, he did that to you? Oh, whoops. Yep, and then Lilith goes out and tries, and probably most likely was just like taking out Zeus. For all we know, that might happen. But still, that's the widow part where that's that purity between her and Zeus being compromised and forever tainted. So she's widowed to that sacred unionship being no longer there. So she's left alone. If that makes sense. And let's see, what else was there? Animal wise, you would probably say it would be best to say that, well, obviously, of course, she's heavily associated with the peacock because of her loyal and attendee Argus. And Argus was I believe it was I can't remember exactly what he was first, but essentially he was charged to watch over Lamia no matter what, because of all the ice he had. But he was killed. I can't remember who killed him. I think it was Hercules, and she felt so disheartened because of his death that she took his corpse and made it into a peacock. But the peacock in itself is actually, at least in Vedic astrology, the peacock is actually related to the planet Venus and is also the element of ether. And ether is essentially, it's not fire, it's not, well, okay, I'll put it the way I like to put it. Ether is not flaming, is not wet, is not hard, rock solid, and it's not blowing anything, because that's the spiritual aspect of it. So the peacock is actually a very spirit, like spiritually charged bird, since it has the ether element. And with ether, that's pretty much how spirit is able to go into the other 3D physical elements, if that makes sense. But with the peacock, though, you can definitely say Hera can be kind of also associated with works that involve intimidating someone, or, kind of striking fear and terror into, like, say if you're trying to try and, like, overpower, dominate, compel, definitely compel. I wouldn't say bend over because that's not well, if it's in a way that kind of makes someone be like, you're going to do this now, you don't tell the queen no. That's kind of more like the domination, compelling way. But Hera's definitely like, oh, it's a queen. I'm not going to mess up. Because just like how I've said before, you tell the queen no, oops. Especially when it's, yeah, that's just something you don't do. Going back to the days, because I just had another one pop in my head. In a way, you could also say Friday, and also, funny enough, Saturday, because, again, Hera is about having that sense of commitment, duty, obligation, responsibility, contract commitment, and being legally expected and bound by something, and having your limitations be put on you, which is Saturnian. So in a way, yes, Hera is Saturnian because she's trying to uphold an obligation. And I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, that she pretty much went to each person that went off and woozy-wooed with Zeus. Even the ones that pretty much tried to tell Zeus no, but it still happened anyway. Still happened. But the ones that are probably the worst offenders are the ones that are like, oh, I know you're married to Hera, but who cares? No. But the days Monday, Friday, and Saturday would probably be the most ideal. Yeah. At least in my opinion. Plant-wise, lily, irises, and actually Iris, the goddess of rainbows, is actually her messenger too. I'm thinking about it on the top of my head. White flowers, light purple, baby's breath. You could also probably also say hybrid lilies, white hydrangeas, because hydrangeas have the aspect of like if someone put a love curse onto you, dude, your thing's still making that noise. When are you gonna get that checked? Heck, I'll even do it for you. I'll take care of it. Just cut the tip right off. That way it'll stop making that noise. But hydrangeas have like the quality of like when you burn the wood or you actually use the plant working, it actually breaks love curses or any kind of impediment of like bringing any kind of harm between a love between two people. Hydrangea just completely mitigates it. So like white hydrangea would probably be the most fitting because blue hydrangea, funny enough, in the Victorian age, blue hydrangeas were meant for this. Say like if somebody has a woozy woo for you, and you kind of want to put it in a way that's like very gentle, but still a no. So what would be done is somebody would actually have blue hydrangeas be sent to them, kind of like this. I'm not interested, dude, but here's my condolences. I'm saying sorry, so have this, but no, don't want you. It's like here's my condolences for telling you no. I'm sorry, not feeling it. That's serious. So that's why you gotta, whenever you're like working with plants, that's why the color does kind of also hold an energy of that somewhere. But primarily white ones would be the most fitting. I'm not sure about pink though. That would probably be more of the romantic ones. But the white ones for the purity of it, yeah. I'm trying to think of the other ones. White tulips would be one. Gardenia, that'd be another one. Because gardenia is a very, 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 very confident and also empowering, self-empowering royal plant. I can tell you this much: gardenia and its energy is not afraid to go at something if it tries to knock it down. It's strong and it'll take out someone. Pretty much think of like a get that thing in between your legs to stop making that noise, dude. I'm getting kind of concerned. Thank you. But gardenia, well, not no wait, I was right. Pretty much imagine the best way to depict gardenia. If you know Joan of Arc, there's gardenia. Except Joan of Arc in a way that's not in a way that's like pushing an agenda, but in a way that's like, okay, this woman has a lot of combat training and can definitely behead someone with one swing of a sword. Yeah. Beautiful, confident, and will not hesitate to take out something that tries to knock her down. There's gardenia for you. At least to me, that is. Yeah, magnolia would be another one. White roses, obviously. I'm trying to think of there's another flower. I wouldn't say. Crap, I just had it. And I lost it. Oh, I hate it when that happens. I'm looking right at this plant and I just cannot remember what it's called. And it's being like, Lady's Mantle. Got it. That's what it was. Lady's Mantle. That's another plant. As well, there's... I'm trying to think of another one. This is the only disadvantage of him knowing about so many plants and so many flowers and so many things that you have a long list and you're trying to get as many of them out there as you can. You just set this one like about a few minutes ago, dude. Geranium. That's another one. Stone-wise, moonstone. What is that obsidian called? Peacock obsidian. Because peacock. Argus. There you go. Rainbow moonstone. Purple stones, especially sugilite. Because sugilite is a very sassy, like a stone that's not afraid to get into negativity space and say, no, you're gonna back up, dude. Don't make me take this off because I'll snatch your weave and snap it in half. I mean, that's kind of like the vibe I get from sugilite. It's sassy, feisty, and it's not afraid to get in negativity's face. Like, okay. Celestite would be one. Milky quartz, snow quartz, another one. Of course, clear quartz. What is that one called? Smithstone? I think that's what it's called. Lapis, amethyst. What is that called? White sapphire. Heck, blue sapphire. Diamond. Hercure diamond. I know I misspelled that one pretty wrong. I mean, there's so many stones going through my head right now. I'm just like, stop, one at a time. Stop trying to be like a stone conga line. Sit still so I can just figure out, okay, you're one, you're one. There's so many of them. They're all running through my head at once, and they're trying to be like, oh, you can't catch us. Well, that's what you think, but, Selenite, cellulite. It's kind of like selenite, but not really. Icelandic spar or something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but that was another one. Give me my bloody book. Where'd it go? Give me the book, please. Yeah, because this way I don't have to be like digging in my head and be like, oh, there's one. No, no more of that. Because, yeah, we'd be here until, Moses decides to come back to Earth again. Let's see here. I'm just going to go through this real quickly, and I'm just going to stop and show. Yeah. Stop and show which stones, just say, okay, that's one that would be with it. Oh. Stones that would go alongside Hera pretty well. So we will, clear calcite, and yeah, that was the Iceland spar. That's one. Cavansite. Cavansite. Celestite, I just said that one. Yeah, I can go with that one. Celestial quartz or pineapple quartz. But then again, that kind of does have a bit of a Polynesian feel to that one. can't believe I didn't notice that one. I am going to try and pronounce this one. Cyroscolia? Yeah, that one. Because when I first looked at that, I'm like, wow. First word in big letters is goddess. So like, okay, there's that one. Sour face. Damberite. That'd be another one. Datalite. Of course, I already said diamond. I'm going to try and pronounce that. Celestial quartz. An emerald. How do you pronounce that? I'm going to give it a shot. Eucalyptus? I almost said ukulele. Like, what? Yeah, I'd be like, wow, I didn't know there was a stone called ukulele. No. Fluorite? Gem silica? What kind of date here me? I'm going to try and pronounce that. Goshenite? Gosh. And I don't know why that just sounded like that. Gosh, a night. It was punny, okay? It was a... Oh, come on. If you didn't laugh at that, well, I don't know what to tell you. I quit. No. Let's see. Yeah, well, I already said this one. Herker diamond. White jade. I like how I said that before I even looked at it. Probably not. Kunzite? No. We all know what kunzite looks like because I've shown that one many times. Malachite. Because malachite is very... It's quite a sassy, feisty stone. Stone, I mean, not stone-wise. Metal-wise, you would probably want to use silver. Because silver is related to moon. Moonstone, essentially any of the moonstones. Regular, black, rainbow, you get the idea. Morganite is definitely one. Another one. Yeah, like right here. Here's Peacock Obsidian. I would also say opal, specifically precious opal, and even the common one. Petalite. Pre-night. And yes, these are the ones that I'm saying would be probably the most, at least in my opinion, by just going off on a whim, would be the most, like, coinciding with Hera, in my opinion. Rose Sophia. There's the blue sapphire. Also said white sapphire. And that was the other one besides Selenite. Scoliote, the one. No, not that one. I already said Sujulite. And boy, is that one fitting. Come on, unhanded. Tanzanite. That'd be another one. White topaz. And white too, also the blue one. Blue topaz. Blue tourmaline. Okay, I'm going to try and pronounce this. Tremolite. Turquoise. Come on, dude. How come you didn't think of that one? You even have a piece of it yourself. Come on, use your head. Wakey, wakey. The heck is that? No. Vesu? What? Vesuvantite? Vesuvantite? I can't even pronounce that, but yeah, that one. No, not that one. Yeah, that's all of those, at least the stone-wise. Like here, I'll even again show what a blue topaz looks like. And don't jump. Don't jump. That is a blue topaz. And literally, it feels like water, but it's not wet. It's solid, and it's like, how come I feel like there's water in my hand, but it's not moving and it's not melting? Oh, because it's a blue topaz. That's why. It's like a wet water that's still. Yeah, I pretty much believe, other than, recalling other myths about Hera and along those lines, probably might be also probably more ideal if you wanted more information instead of me just going off like God knows where. There is a video on in my playlist called Working With in that series. You can just scroll down and you'll probably see the video that's about 3,000 years old. I think that was a joke. And that one pretty much talks specifically about Hera, and I'd probably get into better detail about it in that video than compared to this one, because it was all over the place and the random muting for about 20 minutes. And also having flowers in that little magical hat. Well, what's that magical hacky sack? Like, oh boy, we're already cutting off sacks and kicking them around. Oh, Brendan, I was so vulgar. But anyway, and, oh, Argus was killed by Hermes. Oh, wow. Okay, okay. That's not. I can kind of see that being kind of a potential clash, and so probably best not to work with her on Wednesdays because that'll probably make her think, oh, he killed him. Well, I couldn't remember that, but I do know Argus was slain and Hera was heartbroken about that. Anything else with Mercury? Um, Other than that, pretty much that's what I've got at the current moment, at least on top of my head right now, because my brain is like, oh, tired. And I think I'm probably gonna end it right here. And tomorrow, I think I'm probably just gonna leave it as like an open floor, a cold free for all question answer thing, whatever. Oh wait, it's almost April, isn't it? Oh, that's a few days away, but I guess I'll just also start doing next month's reads for the signs and all that again. Might as well kind of be a little bit ahead schedule, but anyway. I don't know, I don't know, to me, it's kind of, I wouldn't like word that as a thing of pride in my opinion. Because to me, it's just like, pretty much, like the whole way that I'm going about all this is like, Hera's only trying to defend and keep the purity and the sacredness of the unionship. Like she was pretty much having the dominionship over. So how come there's just so much negative and so much slanderous things being pushed about her? So what if she's jealous? That doesn't mean that it's okay to like mock her or put her down because she's trying to uphold her unionship how it's supposed to be. How is it bad? Isn't that kind of noble? And I mean, I don't know about you, but I think a realistic everyday person, if they found out that their significant other was going behind their back, don't you think you would probably also flip a table onto them too? Or better yet, you go after the two-time twat that was interfering and give them a nice good lesson on not to mess with people's commitments to one another. Hey, at least that's what I think. It takes a lot of self-control to not even do that in the first place. But anyway, I'm gonna end it here, and I'll probably come back on tomorrow, maybe a little bit earlier, and also start doing the readings again. So anyway, have a good night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.